Let's start. Acharei-moth. So it's interesting that in Parasha's Chayei, when Sarah died, it doesn't say Acharei, the death of Sarah. What does it say? Chayei, the life of Sarah. Vayechi, which talks about the death of Yaakov and the Shvatim, doesn't say Vayomos, it says Vayechi, life. And yet in this week's Parasha, Acharei-moth, it says Acharei-moth, the death. So Rav Simcha Sheps, he brings out an interesting approach. He says that when Sarah died, it wasn't the end. There was a Yitzchak. When Yaakov died, there wasn't the end. There were the Shvatim, the tribes. But when Nadav and Avihu died, who lived after them? Nobody. They had no children. They weren't married. So the Torah emphasizes, Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe Acharei-moth shnei bnei Aaron. When they died, it was death. It was finished. There was nobody left over after them. They had no children. They had no grandchildren. They had no one after them to continue on. So it was considered a complete death. Now, in Parashat Acharei-moth, it talks about the avodah for Yom Kippurim. And much of Acharei-moth we read on Yom Kippur, correct? On Yom Kippur, that's when we read Parashat Acharei-moth. What Masechta in Talmud talks about Yom Kippur? What's the name of the Masechta? Yuma, correct. The day. Rosh Hashanah talks about Rosh Hashanah, Yuma talks about that. Now, if you look at it, there's different korbanot. One of the most captivating korbanot was the two goats, the Shnei Seirim. Describe the two goats. Were they different? Were they similar? They were the same. They looked the same, almost like twins. They weren't twins, but it looked like twins. Two goats. And the Kohen Gadol would have a box. And inside the box were two plates, gold plates. One said La Hashem, and one said La Azazel. The goat that got the plate, that said La Hashem, was brought into the Kodesh Kedoshim. The blood was sprinkled on the Aron Kodesh, towards the Aron Kodesh. The other goat, what happened to it? It was taken outside the city with a designated person, an Ish Iti, a designated person, which we're going to learn about soon, and it was thrown off a cliff. And it was in an area that couldn't grow anything. It was a desolate area. The Gemara says that if you took the goat into an area that could grow, the next year nothing grew in that area. It was a desolate area. The goat was not shechted, the meat was not eaten, the blood was not sprinkled. It was ripped apart. Okay? Which goat carried the sins of the Jewish people? The goat that went into the Kodesh Kedoshim, or the goat that went onto the desert?
Kodesh Kedoshim.
No, the opposite. The goat that went to the desert was the one that had all the kapara. It's the goat that had the red string that turned white. It was the goat that carried all the averot. Now it's bizarre, because La Azazel is an unusual term. So on this, there is an Even HaEzer. Even HaEzer was one of the Rishonim. And let me read to you what the Even HaEzer says. Im yecholis lahavin hasod. If you could understand the secret, shu achar milas azazel, that follows the word azazel, teida sodo v'sod shemo. You would discover its secret and the secret of its name. There are other words that are its friends in the Torah. I will reveal, the Even HaEzer says, a little bit of this secret. Beremez, in a hint. And when you're 33 years old, you'll know about it. That's what the Even HaEzer writes.
When you're 33 years old?
Yeah. So are you 33 years old yet?
Not yet.
So we can't tell you what he says.
You're too early.
You're too young.
9 years old.
You're too young.
Not ready for that.
Now, everybody talks about this Evan Ho'ezer. The Bali HaTosos talk about it, which means the Tosos himself. The Ramban talks about it. The Avi Ezer talks about it. And Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz, the Yavitz, talks about it. So look what the Ramban says. The Ramban says that Rabbi Ephraim, which is the Evan Ho'ezer, he had a secret. But I like to tell people secrets. I'm a tattletale, he says. I like to tell secrets. I like to reveal other people's secrets. This is what the Ramban writes. So therefore, he says, I'm going to tell you the secret. And what is the secret? That if you count 33 psukim after the pasuk that says you put on the two goats, garalot, the lottery, there's a pasuk. And the pasuk says, Lo yizbuchu od et zivchehem lasi'irim. Don't bring sacrifices to demons. So what is the Ramban saying? That the Evan Ho'ezer is bothered. Where are korbanot brought? In the Beit HaMikdash. Yes. Why is this one korban being taken outside the Beit HaMikdash, outside Yerushalayim, and taken to a mountaintop? Thrown out. So he says, you know what that goat is for? That goat is a korban to the Satan, to the Yetzer Hara, to Uzzah and Uzziel, to demons. And what we do is we give the Satan a goat, and we say, here, leave us alone. It's a bribe. Now, let's figure this out. The Satan is a malach. The Satan eats goats. Is that what it is? And not that I'm aware of. The Satan doesn't eat goats. I mean, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. And year after year, what does he want with our goats? And he can get all the goats he wants. And because he got a goat, he's not going to leave us alone. He's going to leave us alone. No. And the Ramban says that you have to understand that you're not allowed to do this. That means we don't do this on a regular basis. If someone said one day, gets up in the morning and says, I'm going to take a goat, and I'm going to bring it out to the mountain, and I'm going to throw it off the top, you look at him and you say, he's crazy. We don't do those things. That's not our shtick. We don't do that stuff. Maybe Goyim do that, but we don't do that. So he says that the Ramban tells us that when we bring this out to the mountaintop, we have to think in our mind, we're not bringing goats to Shadim, and we're not bringing goats to the Satan. We're doing Hashem's will. That means part of a Jew is not to understand everything. There are a lot of things we do we don't understand.
Yeah, why?
So why do we do it?
Yeah.
We do it because Hashem told us to do it. How do we know Hashem told us to do it? Because the Torah says so. Yeah. What are we trying to do? We're trying to train ourselves. We're trying to train ourselves that not everything in the world makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if a person goes through life thinking everything has to make sense, the first time he confronts something that makes no sense,
you get crazy.
He goes crazy. He doesn't understand what's going on. So we have to understand that life doesn't have to make sense. Yeah. Someone told me a joke. This has nothing to do with that. I'll tell you a joke. Listen to this joke. He says there's this guy who's not religious. So he wants to know more what it means to be religious. So he tells his friends, I'm going to spend Shabbos by a religious family. And when I come back, I'm going to tell you what happened. Okay. So he goes to a religious family for Shabbos. Friday night, they go to shul. They come back from shul. What's the first thing you do when you come back from shul? Shalom Aleichem, you make kiddush. Yeah. So he makes kiddush. He gets himself a big cup of wine. He drinks wine. Then they serve fish. What do you do after you serve fish? You drink l'chaim, though, right? You have to drink. So they bring out the vodka, they bring out the cognac and the schnapps and the rye, and the scotch and the bourbon. Okay, and throughout the meal they're drinking. The next morning he goes to shul. What happens after the davening? There's another kiddush. They have all these type of wines and the vodkas and cognacs. They finish the kiddush in shul. They come home. What's the first thing the guy does? He makes kiddush again, and they bring out all the wine, and they have fish again. They have to drink again the vodka. By Shalosh Shudas, the bottles are still on the table. They finish off whatever's left. Okay. Saturday night, he comes back to his friends. So his friends say to him, so, you spent Shabbos in an Orthodox home? He says, yeah, I did. He says, so tell me, why don't we turn on lights? He says, I never found that out, but I do know one thing. What's that? I know why Orthodox Jews don't drive. They're drunk. He says, I don't know why they don't turn on lights, but I do know one thing. I know why they don't drive. How much I know. Now I know why they don't drive. Now I know why they don't drive. Because they're always drinking. They're drunk all Shabbos. How can they drive a car? So, logic, so in Judaism, there are a lot of things that don't make sense. But that's okay, because we lose our control. One of the biggest problems in marriages is sometimes that people want to be in control of everything. They want to control everything. And you can't control everything. You can't plan everything out. You can't control everything out. There are things that happen that are literally out of our control. So that's what the Ramban says. The Ramban says that the secret of the Even HaEzer is that as crazy as this process is, just remember, you're not doing it because you're giving korbanot to demons. You're doing it because that's what Hashem said. Why it works, how it works, does it work, does it not work? I don't know, he says. That's a secret I don't know. The Das Akeni Mibale HaTosfos says something very interesting. He says that the word Azazel is two words. Az, a goat. Azel, goes. The goat goes out of the city. He says, very similar to another two words in the Torah, when Yaakov made peace with Lavan, they made a monument called Gal Eid. Gal means this mountain, this rock, this pile of rocks will be a testimony. He says the word Gal, Gimel Lamed, is 33. That's what the Even HaEzer says. There are many partners in the Torah. Gal Eid is 33. The Aviezer says, bizarre, he says that Bilam, when Bilam died, he was 33 years old.
Wow.
Now, that's unusual, because there are Medrashim that say Bilam was one of the advisors of Paro.
Yeah, oldest.
And he was an advisor when Moshe was a little baby.
Yeah.
And Moshe was 80 years old. So Bilam was an advisor. He's 120. Yeah, there are different opinions how old Bilam is. But according to some Medrashim, when Bilam died, he was 33 years old.
Wow.
So he was young. And that's what the Even HaEzer says. 33 psukim. I don't know what it is. The Yavitz, who is Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz, he says, I'm not a big believer in all these riddles, and I don't understand all these secrets. And it's a shock to me, he says, that intelligent people spend time trying to figure out the secrets of the Torah when Hashem wants to keep them secret. So he says, let's try to understand what we can understand, and what we can't understand,
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone, move on. That's what the Yavitz writes. So the whole korban over here is such an unusual thing. And what's interesting is that the goats start off their day the same way. They're both equal. And yet, depending on the hand and what you pick out of the hat, one goat has the highest kedusha, sacrificed, the blood sprinkled in the Kodesh Kedoshim, and the other one thrown into a million pieces. So he says that's a lesson in life. That in life you can have two people that have the same upbringing, the same background, the same schooling, the same education. One becomes highly successful, one becomes a total failure. And sometimes you can trace it back to one decision. One decision that makes the difference between you're going to be Kodesh Kedoshim and you're going to be to Azazel. So it's very, very interesting that how it goes back and forth. Let's understand something else for a moment. The person who took the goat, he was called an Ish Et, right? He was a designated man.
Messenger.
Right, a messenger. He was the Ish Et. Okay? So now...
He was an old man or a young man?
So listen to this. This is going to be a little bit surprising for you. Let's see if I can share this with you for a moment over here. From the Otzer Pelos Torah that came out now. He says as follows. Listen to this. The Chizkuni, which is one of the Balei HaTosfos, he brings down from the Medrash that the Ish Et was someone as follows. Why was he designated? Why was he chosen?
He died before.
He was specified.
No.
Here's a guy. His job on Yom Kippur is to take this goat and walk with him for hours outside Yerushalayim into hot desert country. Now, who would want a job like that on Yom Kippur? Nobody. You're fasting, right? You're not eating. And in order to allow him to do that, they used to have posts where they had water for him, that if he was thirsty, he could drink.
On Yom Kippur?
On Yom Kippur. Why? Because who chose this guy? The Kohen Gadol. How did the Kohen Gadol choose this guy? The Kohen Gadol saw the Ruach HaKodesh that this guy was going to die this year. So whoever was chosen as the Ish Et knew that he's not going to be around for next Yom Kippur. So this is not a job you want.
Yeah, it's not a joke.
This is not the lottery you want to win. Okay? That Et Shepirusho Ish Shehigia Ito Lamut B'toch Osa Shana. The person whose time is coming this coming year. Okay? So he is not going to survive. And that's why he is chosen.
It's not only one person who died this year.
No, of course not. But every year, the Kohen Gadol will announce, and the guy who's going to take the goat to the desert is...
Yeah, but around this year, a lot of people died.
Correct.
Choose only him.
Well, this was the job that was given to the person. Whoever took the job died that year. Other people who die in the year don't know they're going to die in the year. Not everybody knows they're going to die in the year, right?
We should know.
Right. Yeah. This guy knows. All of a sudden, when he's chosen, everybody says to him, "Was nice to know you."
Good to go.
Was it done the same thing with second base in English?
To some degree, yes. We're going to learn a little bit more about what happened in the second Beit HaMikdash in a moment. Okay. So, and he brings down, he says there was a famous story with Avner and Yoav, that Avner said to Yoav, Yokumu noha na'orim v'sachachu lefanenu. Let the kids play and with swords to kill each other. And they all asked, there was no war going on, why would Avner and Yoav do this? So he says, they gathered a group of kids who all were going to die that year. And they all killed each other. They all died. But they would have died anyway. So he just figured they'd let them die in war with honor, instead of dying at home in their beds tragically. How they knew this, I don't know. And then he says something interesting. He says it happens once in a while that the Ish Et survives the year.
Wow.
So now, if the guy makes it throughout the year and doesn't die, the next year he's the one chosen again.
Wow.
Why? So he brings down over here that he says that if a person has such powerful tefillot that he could change his destiny and his mazel and survive in a year where he's supposed to die, right?
That's me, you gotta do it again.
Then let him be again. Let him do it every year. Because why should someone else be chosen that guy's going to die? So it says, Hevinu she'ish iti zeh shined mazlo. He changed his bad mazel, hurrah. Al yedei tfiloso, shabo mekirot libo, because he davened from his heart. So therefore, if he was able to do that, so then he's chosen special. So that's fascinating.
So this person is chosen by Kohen Gadol doing the Avodat HaMikdash?
Right. He was chosen by the Kohen Gadol during the Avodah in the Beit HaMikdash, and if he survives the year, it's unbelievable. They'll take him every year after that. He'll be the guy.
Till he dies.
Till he finally drops dead. Correct. So, go figure. They bring down a story here from Avraham Pelagi. I don't think that's the Chidah. I don't know who Avraham Pelagi is. Bless you. He brings down in the Sefer Vayan Avraham.
That's Ben Ish Chai's, I think.
It could be through the Ben Ish Chai. He brings down a story that there was a woman whose husband disappeared, an aguna. And she wanted to get remarried.
What does aguna mean?
Aguna means that she doesn't have a get. She was married, and her husband can't be found. So
she's in trouble.
So she's in trouble. So some people think that her husband is probably dead. Is he dead? Is he not dead?
If you come back
So there was a debate. She asked the Maran, the Bet Yosef, and the Bet Yosef felt that the husband was still alive, and therefore she could not get remarried.
Wow.
She was an aguna, she could not get remarried. Okay? She sent a letter to the Ramah. Now remember, the Bet Yosef lived in Israel, in Tzfat. The Ramah lived in Krakow. She sent a letter to the Ramah, and the Ramah wrote a whole answer back that in his opinion, the husband must be dead, and therefore she's allowed to get married. So she had two letters. One from the Bet Yosef that said no, and one from the Ramah that said yes.
What are you gonna
Okay, what are you going to do? Well, you tell me what a woman would do if she has two letters, one that says no and one that says yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Of course, she's going to take the one that says yes. So the Bet Yosef felt very bad. The Moran felt very bad. So he brings down that we know that the Bet Yosef used to learn with a Malach Hashem called the Magid. He wrote a sefer, the Magid Meshorim. So one day he was learning with the Magid, with the Malach Hashem, and the Magid says, I see you feel very bad over this situation. He said, yes, I do. He said, I want you to know that you were correct. The woman's husband was alive. However, when the Ramah wrote his letter
Yes.
and he signed it, the minute he signed it, Hashem dispatched a malach
He died.
and killed him. So the truth is, you were both right.
Wow.
The Beit Yosef was right.
That
I
means-
can't get married. But when the Ramah wrote that her husband must be dead,
Sign.
that was it. He dropped it.
Wow.
Now they bring a story like that about Rabbi Yosef. If you remember, they bring a story like that. Some reporter was trying to trick Rabbi Yosef that I can't find my husband. I think he's dead, and the husband was in the car or something. And she wanted to trick him, and he wrote a letter saying, I believe you that your husband is dead, and you can get married. And she said, ha 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 ha, you fool that you are. You think you're a great rabbi. My husband is right in the car. I'm going to go get him. And she came to the car. Her husband was dead. So, they bring down a story like this with Rav Moshe Feinstein, that a lady came to Rav Moshe Feinstein, and she said that she had a letter from a certain rabbi in Europe that her husband had died, and she got remarried and had children, and then she found out that her husband was alive. So Rav Moshe said, tell me the story again, told it again, a second time, a third time, and Rav Moshe, who never got angry, Rav Moshe got up very angrily and says, you're a liar. You never had such a letter. And she was so shocked. She admitted that she made it all up. She never had such a letter. So they said to Rav Moshe, how do you know this? So Rav Moshe says, in his lifetime, he wrote decisions to allow women to remarry. He wrote over 1,000 of them.
Wow.
And never once, when he wrote that the husband was dead, did the husband ever come back in, come back alive. And this rabbi was greater than me, he said.
Wow.
So if I never had a husband come back in, this guy for sure never had a husband come back in. That if this guy wrote a letter saying, in my opinion, your husband is dead,
That's me dead.
he was dead. And if he wasn't dead, it meant
They're gonna die.
he's going to die. Okay? I had today a whole bunch of aguna cases where husbands won't give their wives gittin.
Beaten.
Yeah, I wish I was the Rambo. I would write a few letters also. But I could write the letters, but I don't think it's going to work.
So what happened? The Maggid of the Rabbi Yisrael got killed?
The husband that they were writing about, the Maggid said to Rabbi Yossi, you should know you were right. The husband was alive.
Yeah, that time.
However, once the Ramah wrote his tshuva and signed it,
He died.
he died. The minute he signed it, a malach was dispatched from Shemayim and killed him.
Take
So why? Out of respect to the Ramah. Out of respect to the Ramah.
it.
So, it's, you got to understand that the
power of the
Chachamim, the power of the Chachamim.
Not the regular people.
They bring stories of Rabbi Akiva Eger that a person who refused to give his wife a get, the Rabbi Akiva Eger said, listen, you can give her a get or you'll drop dead. Either way, she's going to get remarried. And he said, who are you? Who do you think you are? And he walked out and tripped on the stairs going down and broke his neck and died. you know. But you have to be Rabbi Akiva Eger for that, you know. So there are people that, you know, torture their wives. I have a few cases now. They refuse to give a get, and we'll see what we're going to do. But there's nothing we can really do. We have no power over that, and they don't care because they're not going to get remarried anyway. So why should she get remarried? And the women want to go on with their lives. So it creates a problem. What's the solution to the problem? I don't know yet. Rabbonim have not found the solution in all these years, so it's a little bit hard. There's a debate. There's a debate in Halacha on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, but specifically Yom Kippur. Are you allowed to wear jewelry?
No.
That means when you go to shul on Yom Kippur, and specifically gold jewelry. Let's say women have a gold bracelet or a necklace. Can women wear a gold necklace or bracelet or a gold watch on Yom Kippur in shul?
No.
So the answer is no.
Because
Because the Kohen Gadol ain't kategor na'aseh sanegor. Meaning, when you have to defend your people, don't be a prosecutor. The gold will remind Hashem of the golden calf. And therefore, how do you go to Hashem on Yom Kippur wearing gold? Even the Kohen Gadol took off his gold garments and did not wear it. So that's what's brought down. They bring down an opinion from the Prima Godim, okay, and the Prima Godim writes that he saw that women and Levium are allowed to wear gold because they did not sin by the golden calf. The women did not sin by the golden calf. If anything, they kept their jewelry on. They didn't give up their jewelry. So then let them wear the gold. They can say to Hashem, look, I'm wearing gold. You know why I'm wearing gold? I didn't give it for the golden calf, and I won't give it for Avodah Zarah now. So it's not a problem. And Shevet Levi didn't. Of course, the Kohen Gadol, Aharon, was involved in that. That's why he couldn't wear gold. But it was specific to Aaron. It wasn't specific to Shevet Levi. When Moshe came down from the mountain and he said, Mila Hashem Eli, who came to him? All Shevet Levi did. So the Prima Godim brings down that you're allowed to. One second, we're not finished yet. Then he brings down a Shaila Tshuva from the Shev Yaakov. He says that in those days, women used to have pierced ears, and they wore gold earrings. He says a woman died, and she was buried with the gold earrings. They forgot to take them out. They're supposed to take them out. They didn't take them out. So the family wanted to go and dig up the body to remove the gold earrings. Because how will it be that in Shemayim, she has to stand before Hashem for Yom Hadin, remember when a person dies, and she's wearing gold. We don't show gold to Hashem when there's judgment. So he says, are you allowed to dig up the body? So he says no. Why? He says because women didn't sin by the golden calf.
They have no problem.
So there's no problem. However, the Prima Godim writes in the end, he says that still, we don't like to have groups. We don't like to have distinctions. Amongst Klal Yisrael, we all like to be the same. And therefore, you shouldn't be in shul where women are wearing jewelry and the men are not. And certain men are wearing jewelry because they're Kohanim Levim and the rest are not. So he says the best thing is don't wear. Let everybody be the same. And for that reason, people don't wear jewelry on Yom Kippur.
Embarrass different people.
Right. He says if your glasses have gold frames to it, so that's not a problem. He says if your watch is a gold watch, it's not jewelry, it's a watch. You're not gold. Wearing it for jewelry, you're wearing it for a watch.
Gold plated.
Right. He says it's not a problem. He says, but by and large, even though we could make the case that women and Kohanim and Levim could wear jewelry on Yom Kippur, and it's not a problem, the custom is not to do that. Then he brings down a story. He brings down a story from the Chidah. It seems like the Chidah used to travel the world over. Okay, the Chidah traveled everywhere. A lot of times to collect money. So he went to Europe, to a community called Frankfurt the Main. It's Germany, Frankfurt the Main, and he was there for quite a while. And he would go to the morning minyan, and he noticed a small child every day came to the minyan right by Oleinu. And when davening was over, and everybody went home, and this child then put on his tefillin and davened.
Wow.
So he went over to the kid, and he said to the kid, he said, I don't understand, he says, everybody comes from minyan. And you come religiously at Oleinu at the end of minyan, and then you daven. Why do you do that? So he says, this is what the child answered him. Kishani mitpalel, when I daven, imat tzibur, with the group, dati mitbolelet, I get confused. All the noise and all the talking, it bothers me. Ve'eni yochel lechavim mitfilosi kedeboy, I can't concentrate. And therefore, I'm just better off coming at the end. This is what he said. It was very, very interesting. You know, and there are stories like that. There are stories of people who just cannot be around other people, whatever it is. They don't want to be around other people. I don't know if that was his issue. He just didn't like the quality of the minyan. The minyan disturbed him. But he did not want to come, so he came at the end. He got the Kadeshim. Maybe they said Borchu at the end again, so he said Borchu, and then he davened. So the Chidah said to him, I want to ask you a question. Why in the Mishnah in Zvachim, where it lists the Korbanot and Yom Kippurim, they're all the same Korbanot by and large, and why are they in separate Mishnahs? So the boy said to him, well, the answer is because even though the Korbanot are more or less the same, and the Shechita is more or less the same, the blood is sprinkled differently. This blood is sprinkled in the Kodesh Kedoshim, this blood is sprinkled outside, this blood is sprinkled... And he knew the answer of the different Mishnayos in Zvachim. The Chidah was so impressed by this kid, he said to him something like, Hinei no yadati, now I know, ki ish Elokim kodoshu, over Oleinu, that a holy man has just passed over us. Oleinu means, even though he came by Oleinu, he's a holy man. He says the name of that person was Reb Nosson Adler. Reb Nosson Adler was the chief rabbi of Germany. He grew up to be the chief rabbi. There's famous stories of Reb Nosson Adler in the 1800s. Queen Victoria used to consult Reb Nosson Adler all the time from Britain. She would consult Reb Nosson Adler. She once traveled to Germany secretly to see Reb Nosson Adler and brought him to her yacht so she could consult him on questions. So Reb Nosson Adler was very well known. The Chidah said, I see that this kid is a very exceptional kid. So there's a whole story about the Chidah that he brings down about Reb Nosson Adler. The Moshe Zekeni from Bali Atoso says that Aharon, the name Aharon is Roshei Tevot. Aleph stands for Uriel. The Hey stands for Hadroniel. The Resh, Raphael, and the Nun, Nuriel. They are the four Malachim who surround Hashem's Kisei HaKavod. And when they finished with the Kisei HaKavod, they go to the Kodesh Kedoshim, and that's where they hold up. That's the sitting area where they rest, is around the Aron Kodesh. So when Aaron would walk into the Kodesh Kedoshim, no person could be there in the room, but the Malachim were there. And his name represented the four Malachim, and they say that he took on his face, became like the face of these Malachim when he was in the Kodesh Kedoshim. There's a whole question that when he came out of the Kodesh Kedoshim, does he have to bench Birkat HaGomel? Because he survived this ordeal. There's a whole question whether the Kohen Gadol did or not. And Rabbi Yehuda Achosit says that it wasn't just Aaron, but every Kohen that came in was very unique and very special, and his face took on the images of the Malachim that were there. The Chidah writes that he once met a Malach. This is what the Chidah writes. Who was that? The Pnei Yehoshua. He says that Pnei Yeshua's face was the face of a Malach. And he met him, and the Pnei Yeshua was so taken with the Chidah, he gave him a copy of his Sefer, one of these volumes that he wrote. The Pnei Yeshua is on the Gemara. So he wrote, he gave him a copy of the Sefer. And the Pnei Yeshua says that the Pnei Yeshua was the closest image to a Malach that he ever saw. It was fascinating that the Chidah saw that. Okay. Let's understand. when the Kohen Gadol went into the Kodesh Kedoshim on Yom Kippur, he was there for 30 seconds. What did he daven? What was his tefillah? We say this in davening on Yom Kippur. What was the tefillah of the Kohen Gadol, Mara Kohen? He looked like an angel. What did he say? What? He said it, but what did he daven for?
A merchant shouldn't stop the meat.
So it seems over here that he had two different tefillot. Okay? Two different tefillot. And he brings down the Yerushalmi, has a little bit more of a detailed tefillah. But let me tell you what he davened. Let me tell you what it says over here. I'll translate it to you. The Gemara in Yuma says as follows. He will say to Hashem, may it be your will that if this is supposed to be a hot and dry year, let it be a wet and rainy year, which is good for the crops. So he davens for Parasha. It should be a wet and rainy year. Number 2, may the Jewish people not lose dominion over themselves and not come under the dominion of other nations. So they should not have foreign nations controlling them. Number 3, may no Jew have to rely on financial support from another Jew. Again, Parnasah. Number 4, let each Jew be financially independent and secure. Parnasah. And number 5, when someone is traveling on the road and it's raining, and they say to Hashem, please stop the rain, do me a favor, don't listen to them. Because the Jews need the rain for their Parnasah. So he doesn't speak about forgive their Avedot. He doesn't speak that they should have refuah shlema for whoever is ill. He only talks about Parnasah, 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 Parnasah. Right? Money, 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 money. Seems a little strange. So there's the sefer called Beis Av from Rav Eliakim Schlesinger, who lives in England. He's one of the mashkichim, I think, at Gateshead. He said something very interesting. He says a person comes to shul to daven. So they daven quickly and they have to leave. Why do they leave so fast? They have to go to work, right? They have to earn money. Why do they sit 4 hours and learn Torah? They can't sit 4 hours and learn Torah. They have to earn money. He says that money and parnasah takes a person away from learning and becoming holy. So you know what the Kohen Gadol says? I want every Jew to be holy. But in order for them to be holy, what do they have to have? Parnasah. So he says, I'm going to daven, not that they should have parnasah for money. I'm going to daven that they should have parnasah, so they should be able to be holy and sit and learn Torah. So when he went into the Kodesh Kadoshim, that's what he says. He didn't daven that they should have money. He davened that they should have freedom to be able to daven and learn and become holy people. The only way you could do that is with parnasah. So therefore, I had no choice, he says, but to ask for parnasah. But he says, that's what my purpose was. He says, my purpose was, he brings it down from a Rambam in Hilchas Malachim. He says, my purpose was that they should become holy people. But the only way you can become holy is if you don't have pressure on you, if you have a little bit more freedom. So hopefully, that was his plan. So, that's how he learned that his davening. Now he brings down something very fascinating. If a person kills someone by accident, you're driving your car, you're not looking, you're texting, you have an accident, you kill someone by accident. What's the punishment? In the days of the Torah, what was your punishment? Ir Miklat. Okay? How long would you stay in the Ir Miklat? Till the Kohen Gadol dies. On an average, the average person, who came to the Ir Miklat till the Kohen Gadol died, how long was he there for?
40 years.
10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. So look what he brings down over here. He says, from the Targum Yonasan ben Uziel, which is one of the Tanoim, Shemei Olam, he says, Lo hoyerotzeach mitakev bari miklat leshana tmima. Nobody ever stayed in the Ir Miklat even 1 year.
Why?
Because if you came to the Ir Miklat because you killed someone by accident, Hashem held the Kohen Gadol responsible because he didn't protect the community, and therefore the Kohen Gadol died that year and you got out. Now that's shocking. I never heard that before. That's really amazing. That means Acharei misa ala Kohen Gadol sheyamos b'Rosh Hashanah. There was a gezerah that the Kohen Gadol should die that year. And that the murderer should get out free and go home within the year. And the reason is why? Because the Kohen Gadol should have davened for his community, that they should have been protected, that nobody should die an accidental death. We're not talking about murder. You have no control over murder. But accidents shouldn't happen on his watch.
Wow.
Just like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, there was never a rainbow in my lifetime. He says accidents don't happen. If accidents happen, something wrong with the Kohen Gadol.
But what about the Yana Yamela that kills so many Chachamim with the Hordos?
That's murders. You have Bechira. He's not responsible for the murderers. He's only responsible for the accidents.
Oh,
Well, if they have an accident.
Accidental death.
the
That's
car
what he
accident,
says.
the car accident, right? Rabbi?
Right. What?
Like car accident,
Like car
or
accident.
something
Why
falling.
should he
Correct.
be responsible? I mean,
Because it was his job to daven to Hashem to protect people from accidents. That's what it says over here.
this is
That's what the Targum Yonasan Ben Uziel says. Now it's very interesting.
In our days, like a
Our
rabbi-
days,
No, I can't do that. I can't do that.
we're in trouble our days. You know, someone said to me, he says, I don't get it. He says, in Mitzrayim, they're on the 49th level of Tumah.
Yeah.
He says, today we must be on the 98th level of Tumah. I mean, you know, imagine in Egypt, they're on the 48th level of
He was
Tumah.
asking me the Shabbos, on what level when the Tumah? I said, when, like, just like in Mitzrayim, Rabbi said 98.
Yeah, you know, he says they're on the 49th level of Tumah. I mean, that's like crazy. You know, 4/5
Double up.
died, and then the few, and they were pretty good people. And look at us today. What level could we possibly be on? It seems pretty wild. Okay, so he says over here, he says, and that's why the mother of the Kohen Gadol used to buy them gifts, that people should be happy in the Yer Miklat. They should say, I'm happy in the Yer Miklat. I want to stay in the Yer Miklat. They were worried. But he says that if you think about it, he says the Yer Miklat was really very, very, very dangerous place. Very, very dangerous place. Okay, one or two more thoughts, then I'm going to let you go. I have to go drop something off somewhere, so I'm going to see what I'm going to share with you next. Just one or two more thoughts. Now, everybody's remembering to count the Omer? Because Sfardim, the women don't count the Omer.
Right,
Right,
that's what the Rabbi just said.
right, they don't count the Omer.
I'll be Kabbalah.
Right. So do you allow the women to count the Omer? Or the women just, they don't count?
No, the rest.
Amongst the Bukharian community, they don't have the minhag to count.
They don't have the minute to count. If a Bukharian girl wants to count,
Probably.
you tell her,
I'll be Kabbalah, you don't have
you
to.
don't do it. If you do it, we're gonna call you the worst name possible.
Mitzvah
You
שהזמן גרמה
Ashkenazi.
מצווה שהזמן גרמה נשים פטורות.
Well, that's sure, but if women want to do it, they could do it anyway. I mean, you wouldn't let them wear tefillin either.
Exactly.
Okay, I hear you. Amongst Ashkenazim,
You count.
yeah,
Without the bro.
yeah, because women like to be like the men, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
control.
kind of
They
it.
want
Sometimes.
control. They want control.
I like when the husband comes from the shul, she downs chakra, she downs Muslim, has to wait until she put the kiddush and all the rest.
Yes, you like that.
You like?
You have experience with that at all?
That's
When
a
I was in the
Kiddush
shul,
and
that's what happened. I mean, she used to down the chakras, the musaf, and all the tefillahs and all the kavona. You know, the husband used to sit and wait, and we used to make a kiddush, schmooze a little bit.
I'm on tape. I'm not going to respond.
I will watch. I will
Alright,
watch.
can you stop that?
I will watch.
I'm not going to
No.
respond. I'm not
I
gonna
will watch.
respond.
No.
And okay, you know, he has a whole bunch of questions here about Sfira Somer. I don't know if I want to go into that. I'm not sure how far I want to continue on over here. I'm going to call it a night. But
Rabbi, why is it like among the Ashkenaz people, they make a kiddush, and then they have the sweets, and they drink a milk, and then after a couple of hours, they have a cholent. They're not like straight eating in some community.
that's Hasidic.
Oh, that's Hasidic.
That's right. We don't do that.
Oh, you don't do that.
No. Hasidim do that. They make kiddush and they have cake.
Right.
They have mizonot.
Yeah.
And then
Dairy,
they have the meal.
Dairy mezonot or
No.
no pan?
My father-in-law, who was very Hasidic, even if he came home, let's say at 11:30 from shul, he'd make kiddush and have cake. And then at 11:45, he would get up and wash. We don't do
When I
that,
was in Chaim, Berlin, we used to finish davening at 10:30.
right?
We used to make a kiddush. We got those chocolate cakes,
Right.
milk, and after an hour and a half, we had a chillum.
Correct. You'd have your meal.
We have a meal.
That's Hasidic.
And that's the same.
I don't now. You have to understand what I do, so I have to be careful because I daven at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I come home at 9. At 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm not having children. So I make kiddush, and my grandchildren, I make kiddush for my grandchildren. And we have a whole Shabbos party. So we have cookies and cake and tam-tams and chips. We have a whole thing. So I do the same thing, but not because I would do that. It's because it's 9 o'clock in the morning.
Early, yeah.
Right? It's early.
Right.
And then my wife will serve, the meal around 11:30, 11:45. Depends when she finishes davening musaf. Because she also has to daven shachris and musaf and everything else.
You know what in Israel, hotels, what they do? They serve the breakfast after the praying.
Right?
I believe by,
Same
let's say,
place.
10, 10:30, maybe by 11, and like at 2 o'clock, they serve the lunch.
Yeah.
After 3 hours break.
Could be. But then I'll make kiddush again. That means when the su'udah takes place, and if let's say 11:30, 11:45, then I'll make kiddush again, then I'll wash the tilas yadayim. So even though I make kiddush earlier, I'll make kiddush again for anybody who did not hear kiddush. Yes.
If your parents tell your son, shave for Tzvat HaOmer, right? Is he allowed to shave or not?
If the parents,
Tell the son to shave during Tzvat HaOmer.
listening to your parents is from the Torah. The minhagim asfir sa'omer is midrabanan. But parents usually would, if you say respectfully to your parents, but my rabbi doesn't allow, it all depends, but again, you have to be very careful. Kibud Ava'im is min haTorah, so I wouldn't violate Kibud Ava'im. Chofetz Chaim Yeshiva, they shave every Friday, the Chofetz Shabbos, even during Sfira. There are people, I have weddings this week. Normally I don't do any weddings from Pesach, from the second day Pesach, from Sfira, to Lag BaOmer.
Why do you make it then?
Because I hold those first 33 days.
Yeah.
But there are people who hold from Rosh Chodesh Iyar until Shavuot. So they make weddings this week, until Rosh Chodesh.
It's allowed?
I don't, but I'm invited to a bunch of weddings this week.
Wow. Ashkenazi?
Mm-hmm. I'll go for the chuppah, but I won't stay afterwards, but I'll go for the chuppah. If I didn't have to go, I wouldn't go. But
Chuppah not going to music, nothing, right? Just gonna...
They'll have music going down to the chuppah. But there are people who do that. They even though, because they hold the second, they mix and match. They just, you see, the Sfirat to Omer is only 33 days. There's different opinions whether they continue to die afterwards or not, but it's only for 33 days. That's not the Sfirat to Omer in the Torah. The Sfirat to Omer in the Torah has nothing to do with the Avelut. The Avelut is just a custom. There are people who have that.
Tzvat HaOmer is just a count date.
Right.
Every day is count. That's not Avelut. Avelut was for when you were...
Correct.
From that day they started Avelut.
Now,
Bryks and Bar Mitzvah is allowed with the music. Says, no?
Some people do, some people don't. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, he never did this, where he made kiddush and had cake. He always made kiddush and washed and had his meal. No, Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, who was Rosh Yeshiva in Torvadas. After his wife died, he got remarried, and he married a woman who has Hasidic background. So when he made kiddush, she served him cake. So what did he do?
Yeah.
So he ate the cake.
Wow.
Why? Not because that was his custom. It wasn't his custom.
Shalom Bayit.
But for Shalom Bayit.
Wow.
Because that was her custom.
Chaim Berlin Hasidish?
Chaim Berlin is maybe, Futter may have been Hasidish to some degree. Or may just because it was so early in the morning, it was just practical. But in Eretz Yisrael, whenever we finished eating, we had the Suda. So if we finished davening at 10 a.m., we had Shult at 10 a.m.
Grandfather house in Samarkand, they used to eat like shish kebab at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
It's also
4 o'clock in the morning we do shisha.
And why exactly?
I don't know. They
Not
fought.
on
Because you were on Israeli time?
No,
No,
they
not on
just
Shabbos.
Your watch
No,
didn't
not
work
Shabbat.
well?
Shabbos,
not Shabbat, no, regular
regular
days.
days.
You know, they kill the cow by 4 o'clock in the morning, for at 3:30.
No, midnight.
If midnight, fresh meat meat is still breathing, like you
So
see
you-
the
so you
steam
could-
coming out
You
there.
couldn't sleep.
The guy right away this
A business.
business.
It's
He used to be
fresh.
butcher. His
They-
grandfather used to be butcher.
My whole family is butchers.
I'm not used to eating meat at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow, these people this custom. People like it. You know, 5 o'clock already packed.
If you're gonna come at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning,
Nothing left already.
Mostly delicatessen part is disappeared.
Как уже ты еще не сказал, тфилин не одел, как это?
Когда никто не одевал.
I mean,
Guy was
I've gotten up in the morning at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning and realized I'm still fleishix because I didn't have a chance to eat dinner until 2 o'clock in the morning, but not usually my custom.
In Samarkand, if you go to Samarkand in those days, that's what they used to do. You go from house to house, the butcher's houses, they used to always serve you the shish kebabs.
At 4 o'clock in the morning.
From 4 o'clock in the morning until the evening. They would used to serve you. That's what they like to do. Eat, drink.
But not the same person. They come and go and come and go.
I
They
got you.
still practice because the Beit HaMikdash, the
Character.
Kohen,
That's where it's from, the Beit HaMikdash.
Practice.
Have a good night, everybody.
going